Hi, I'm Dan, and welcome back to the Rock Nerd Radio Show here on YouTube. Today we are taking a look at two Adam Warlock figures in order to determine which is better.
Come geek out with us on the Rock Nerd Radio Show.
Alright, normally when we do a which is better comparison, we start with the paint and overall appearance, but I do want to get something out of the way before somebody tries to put it in the comments, acting like a know-it-all. Yes, these are not the only two Adam Warlock figures the Marvel Legends brand has made. There's also this one. But this is more of the Annihilation era 2000s Guardians of the Galaxy look Adam Warlock. That is not the Adam Warlock look we are looking at today. We are comparing the two Infinity Gauntlet inspired era kind of costumes. Obviously, this is both the same version of Adam Warlock, but we're going to have some differences between the two figures. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the paint and overall appearance of these figures. We are going to start with the first version. This one came out in 2009. It was from a Target exclusive Red Hulk Build-A-Figure wave. So this Adam Warlock, you can see his skin tone is a little more human. It is not quite the orangey yellow that he's normally kind of drawn with and shown with. It doesn't look bad, and I actually really like the head sculpt. I like the way the hair is kind of moved and set in on this figure. I think the head actually looks really cool. The cape is not pinned onto the figure, but because the head is so tight there, it kind of sits pretty flushly. There is a little bit of movement to it, but it's going to sit however you need it to on a shelf. Moving down, we do see that there are some nice blacks and reds on this figure. That is, continuing all the way down. Pretty clean paint apps. He does have an Infinity Gauntlet on his left hand, and as you can see, there are these stones painted there, but they're very kind of tiny. They almost just look like dots on the figure's hand, almost like paint errors. They are sculpted, so if you run your finger over it, you can feel them, but yeah, not the most exciting looking Infinity Gauntlet. And his hand is kind of stuck in this almost clawed-like position with the gauntlet. But the figure itself, when it came out in 2009, it looked pretty good. I think by today's standards, it definitely looks a little skinny. Our new Adam Warlock, this came out this year in 2025. This is part of that mini comic throwback wave of Marvel Legends. This is definitely on a bigger bigger sculpt. You can see that it is a little more muscular in places and looks a little more, especially in the face, looks a little angrier. Just to say, this is a very kind of calm face, where this is definitely a more of an expressive, angry power face. The face on this one, though, is that Adam Warlock kind of orange. And the hair, I want to say, is definitely a little more comic accurate. The cape, once again, is, or unlike the other one, it is pinned on his back. So even though it's not glued down, it does stay in place because it's not going to be going anywhere. And that skull looks really, really nice in the middle of the cape, acting like a clasp. Just to focus on the old one for a minute. There's a skull there, but it's not straight on. It's golden color. It doesn't look as nice as this kind of bone white one. Now, looking at the rest of the body, you can see, yes, there is those blacks and reds, very clean paint apps. Of course, the cape is yellow in the back and then red on the reverse, and that is the same for the 2009 one too. Yellow on the inside, red on the reverse, as you can see. But looking at this Infinity Gauntlet that this one has, it is, first off, it's in a fist position. And the gems are definitely a little more noticeable. As you can see here, they're a little bigger in size and a little, I think, sculpted a little nicer and painted a little nicer, so that you can really, really see them on that Infinity Gauntlet. And I do like that he has his hand in a fist position. I think that looks a little better. So with that said, looking at these two side by side, while I don't think either one of them is a bad figure sculpt, I don't think they have bad paint apps, I do have to give our first round to our new 2005 mini comic wave Adam Warlock. I think this one's going to look better compared with other current Marvel Legends. As always, my second round is about the articulation of the figure, so I'm just going to move our 2025 version here. We're going to look at our 2009 one. Now, this was right at the initial, the first time the line kind of died when Hasbro took it over. So the articulation is definitely outdated, but just to show it, the head will turn left and right, and it is on a peg joint, so it's not a ball joint here, like there's no wiggle waggle, but he does move up and down. At the body, we don't have a whole lot of movement. There's just this midsection joint, which will allow him to rotate, and there's the tiniest bit of ab crunch back and forth. And also some left and right. So he does move, but there's not a lot of movement to it. I still think it looks good, but yeah, he's not getting into like any crazy dynamic poses or anything. At the arms, both arms will spin around fully, and they will raise up about that far. Cape does get in the way. There is no rotation at the bicep. Instead, we have a single jointed elbow that is also the rotation point. So you can see that that is the way it rotates. At the hand, we do have hands that will spin, as you can see, and move in and out, side to side movement. And that's the same on both hands, even with the Infinity Gauntlet hand. At the legs, so this is a strange kind of leg joint configuration. They had stopped doing the ball joint legs at this point, but instead we have like a peg that goes up into the midsection that will allow the figure to kick out. And then like in order to kick forward, you're kind of rotating the leg. So it can move forward, but not the way that you might want a figure's leg to actually move forward, if that makes sense. It was a weird bit of articulation. Single jointed knee that also rotates, so there's no thigh rotation. It's the rotation at the knee. There is boot cut, which I was impressed by. And there is ankle up and down, but no ankle rockers. So we do have that, but nothing else. So definitely some limited articulation. It's definitely going to limit the way that this figure can stand in the grand scheme of things. Looking at our 2025 version, this Adam Warlock's head is on the disc to a ball joint, so he can look up and down, he can look left and right, although the cape does inhibit some of the movement, and there is a little bit of wiggle and waggle on here, so if you want to stick a Magnus head on this figure, you could stick that Magnus head on. At the body, we do have full rotation down here at the midsection, and we do have ab crunch, which goes that deep, and it can go back. The cape actually flows kind of nicely where it's not really stopping him from bending back, which is pretty cool. At the arms, they will go all the way around. You do have to move around the cape a little bit, but they will go all the way around. As mine now gets stuck. There we go. Did I just flip it? Hang on. There's also butterfly joint here, so you can move the arms in and out. A little extra, which is nice. Bicep rotation, double jointed elbows, and they are pinless, just to say it. Technically, our 2009 one is pinless as well. You don't see the pins. For the fists, they can rotate, and they are going to do our left to right swivel. And this hand, actually, because it's like the staff hand, can do the up and down swivel. So there is that, just to point out the difference. So you can kind of point his staff at somebody if he needs to. I don't know if his staff like shoots energy. I should really check up on that. Anyway, moving down to the legs. Yes, they're going to go out about that far, and they are going to move forward without being any type of weird leg situation. He does have thigh rotation, double jointed pinless knee, boot cut, of course, ankles that pivot up and down, and the ankle rockers. So he has just a little more articulation than our 2009 one. It is kind of crazy to see how far we've come in about 16 years. So, of course, this round is going to our 2025 version of Adam Warlock. The third round is about the accessories that this character comes with. And Adam Warlock, I was always impressed because this is an accessory. He does have his staff, and it can come out of his hand. It is a very tight fit, and his hand looks a little small after you take the staff out, but he does come with this staff, and it's a pretty cool looking staff. I like the dark brown on it. It almost looks like chocolate more than like a wooden staff, but the sculpt on that eagle looks very nice, or whatever that is supposed to be, a phoenix perhaps. It is actually a very nice sculpt. I do have to say that. I would have loved if this Adam Warlock had interchangeable hands, so he could have a regular hand and an Infinity Gauntlet hand. Unfortunately, he doesn't have that. I think we were a few years too early for things like interchangeable hands in this case. I'm going to put him to the side for a minute just because I want to talk about our new Adam Warlock, and I want to take out the staff because I thought these staffs were the same. They are not. This one is definitely a little thicker. Our new one, our 2025 one. The sculpt looks very similar. I want to try to get them both to focus at the same time. There we go. The sculpt is similar, but the new one is definitely a larger bird, and the wings are a little more detailed. So, looks cool. And this one is painted in a better shade of brown that really does make it look like it's a wooden staff. I'm just going to put it down for a second. Of course, being one of the mini comic wave members, this Adam Warlock does come with a tiny mini comic version of Infinity Gauntlet #1, perhaps one of Adam Warlock's most significant appearances. Now, of course, these aren't the only accessories Warlock comes with. He does have a plethora of other hands, being 2 fists, left and right, and another grip hand that you can replace the Infinity Gauntlet hand. Like I was kind of complaining about, with the 2009 version, there was no interchangeable hands. So I can, of course, take this hand off. The whole cuff of the Infinity Gauntlet comes off. And if I wanted to, I can give Adam a fist, just like this. So now he has multiple hand options. And the cool thing is, you can actually take the Infinity Gauntlet, and on other characters that might not have a lot of sculpting or detailing around their arm, you can put it on their hand, which I think is a pretty cool feature as well. Lets you play around with your display in a neat way. So because of all that, the 2005 Adam Warlock wins this round, the third round, for this version of Which is Better. As we normally talk about, the fourth round on this Which is Better, on any Which is Better, is about the price and overall availability of these figures. Looking at this current version, the mini comic version of Adam Warlock, I know people are finding him on store shelves. I got him off Hasbro Pulse. He commands a price of $25.99, standard Marvel Legends price. The 2009 Adam Warlock from that Red Hulk Build-A-Figure wave was originally priced at about $20. At least that's what the internet tells me. I feel like that might not be right, but that's what Action Figure 411 was saying. It is also saying that currently this is available for an average price of $31.35. Of course, that is the average price by Action Figure 411. You might be able to find it for cheaper. You might be able to find it for more. But, you know, I guess it would depend if it's carded, loose, whatever. I do think this is going to be the better buy at the moment. And just thinking future projection-wise, probably going to be the one that retains a better value over the old one, just because it's starting to look a little outdated. And finally, we're going to talk about my display compatibility. Now, thinking about Infinity Gauntlet, if I want this Adam Warlock or any Adam Warlock from this era kind of displayed with Infinity Gauntlet characters, we should probably pull a few out. So here is the Drax from that Moondragon and Drax 2-pack that came out a little while ago. And probably most importantly from the Infinity Gauntlet story, let's get Thanos on the display stand too. So here's how they all look together. Of course, Thanos doesn't want to stand up right now. All right, there we go. There's Thanos standing up. Let me kind of rearrange everybody a little better so that maybe you can see them. I honestly didn't realize that Thanos wasn't as tall as Drax until right now. But here's how they all look together. And I think it still sets up a pretty good image. You know, if I were to take out our new Warlock and put the old one there, this doesn't look half bad. If I take the old one out and put the new one there, this looks really good too. Just because the way that my collection is going, I'm updating old figures and replacing, the old ones with new versions. I do think our 2025 version of Adam Warlock wins my Display Compatibility Award. So there we go. Those are all 5 rounds. Let's share some final thoughts. So it was a sweeping victory for the new Adam Warlock. Yes, he is winning out on this edition of Which is Better, getting all the points in all the rounds. As opposed to the old one, which didn't. And like I said, the old one isn't that terrible of a figure, but 15-ish years later, a new one is a welcome addition to my shelf and a welcome change. But I would love to hear what you think of these Adam Warlock figures down in the comments below. So leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Did you get the new Adam Warlock? Do you have the old Adam Warlock? Do you care to upgrade? Do you not care? I'd always love to know what you think. And remember, you can check out the Rock Nerd Radio Show on your preferred podcast platform. That is a weekly podcast that I do with my good friend and co-host Vinny, where we talk about all types of different pop culture stuff. And there's bound to be something on there for you to enjoy. But until next time, hey, I've been Dan. That's been Adam Warlock. You've all been pretty awesome. And I'll see you around.
Come get